Anyways, that's
Right. Okay, we're going to start a little bit early because Patrick has a slide presentation that we'd like to maybe start with. Before we do that, John, call the roll.
Oh, certainly. Fred Alder.
Here.
Barry Lupkins.
Here.
Bob Hallett.
Here.
Dick Dashner.
here.
Georgie Schulte.
Here.
Mike O'Neill.
Here.
Bernie Galliani.
Here.
Bill Smith.
Here.
And I am here. We're all here, sir.
Entertain a motion to suspend the reading of the minutes from April 7th and March 17th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Go ahead.
Exchange pens I had in my pocket. Said, didn't give me a pen, but it was in my pocket. Go figure. Okay, good morning. So for the people on the phone, one of the reasons why we started early is I have a quick presentation. I wanted to show the board some of the pictures of the inside of the building. They don't get to go in there a lot, being that it's under construction. So if you can listen in, obviously, but I want to leave you out, but in the case of the world, I have to. Okay, so my goal was a bit about construction today, and also about a little bit about the COVID attack and where we're at, where we feel we should be, and share that with you also. If you're on board or suggestions to me, make it better. Okay, so let's go through. So I'm looking at my screen. You can clearly see up here, our tennis courts are 99.3% there. The other 0.7% that is missing is because of some permitting that'll need to be done. The engineer has all of her things needed for the SDP, minus a signature from Wells Fargo. They are working on it daily. I'm on them daily about it's called the UCC. They have their notes in front of everybody else because we have a loan coming up with them. It's caused a little bit of a bump here and there. Their lawyers had to go to our lawyers. You know how that goes. But it's under the works, and it should be done and satisfied soon. To date, we have all of the the building requirements ready to go. They were finishing up last details recently. I believe there's some lights out there for the undercovering that have to be put up. Fans, I should say, not lights, but fans. So that's to be done there. Little stuff, minutia. So your tennis courts have come out good. A lot of they love the tennis park, as some people call it. It's come out really nice overall. These are just some shots of it for you. As I go through, the Chad and gang did a great job with the landscaping, and it looks really, it's maturing a little bit. Our building there, and that's the last minute people down there. I was just telling you about that. Our fencing is up. Chris has all the screens up. We have new logos on our screen fencing. Looks very attractive. This is where we get into the building a little bit. Just some decorative fencing around to cover people walking in and out of the ladies' and men's room, those white, as you see there. Also, landscape. This is an area where you're going to have your ice machine, water. We put a little merchandiser, as they call it in the business, but a little refrigerator in the bottom left there. That's going to be people bring fruit or snacks or anything when they're over there to play. The center is your ice machine, water machine. Down to the right, other than having those big jugs out there that are unsanitary on the court, that's going to be a bottle filler right there. They become more and more popular. So we're going to eliminate the bottle. Here's some of the bathroom finishes going together. That guy with the belly there, that's me in the mirror in the bottom. Men's room, tile, which is quite nice actually, I think. We'll skip through them a little bit. Here's some other shots of the bathrooms. Finishes are pretty plain, pretty nice. And then we move on to the fitness and administration. This is looking backside by hole number 1. And this is where eventually they're going to have the green. We're waiting on Gordy Lewis to come over when this thing comes down a little bit. We're going to put our green back here, and we also reserved room to keep the bocce courts back here as well. That was jousted around and bounced around a lot, but we're going to hopefully keep those. To the right, coming back where the camera position is just the stake area between number 1 and the dirt, as we'll call it. That's owned. It's not preserved land. Yeah, if you're on the phone, if you could mute your phones, it would be great, please. As we're going through it, just breaking some background noise. So between 1 and 2 is we have an area where hopefully it's either going to be a path through the garden, maybe a parking area. We haven't really just and Chad and gang get involved. That'll be decided. So moving on, this is coming to the front of the fitness facility center. We had a little delay with our tiles that we were talking about this morning, but they have arrived, and the roofs have been loaded with the tile. It was a curative process that they were waiting on, and they have completed it. Ironically, the contractor, without any influence from us, used the same exact company that we use for our hurricane tile. Boral, their name is B-O-R-E-L. So they're really quite close in colors and such things too. So
Patrick, can I ask a question? Where you got the screening for the air conditioning units on top, how come you see right through it and see the air conditioning?
Yeah, we've had some talks about that at our meetings and such things, and the pleasure of it. What happened in the project is originally our architect had a screening up there that was extraordinarily expensive. I'm talking $40,000 to $60,000 for a screening area. Under the value engineering, he said to us that we can do something a little differently, and that was a little. Are we 100% satisfied? Nah. He is going to add some more up there to kind of cover it up on the south side, is it, Dick?
Yes, man.
It's going to be like that, yes.
Also, it can't be solid because the wind will blow it down. It has to be proof.
The fix will be once the tile and everything falls into place, it'll take your eye away from right now. Your eyes on it, and once the tile and everything, we feel and they feel that it'll be less eye contacting, as we'll say. So let's give that a chance, and we'll address it later if necessary. So
The
moving
reason
on.
I asked that question is, back home on the planning commission, that was always the number one key issue was for residents and people not to see air conditioning, and they were always enclosed, solid, you know. But we don't have the wind you have. That may be one of the factors.
And one of some of it was some size things when they developed this things, what the area we had for the parking we wanted. They went up on the roof rather than on the back of it. We wanted bocce out there. We wanted parking areas out there for golf carts. That was a kind of a reason why they went up on the roof, and the fencing came along after that. So again, I truly feel that once it's all put together, that will blend to the point where it won't be as obtrusive as. And if not, we'll have to address it. I mean, what's the bottom line? You might have to go back and spend that $50,000, $60,000. It's a possibility.
Thank you.
From front of the fitness center. This is going inside the fitness center. Using some unique finishes. Ship lap is on the walls. There's 3 different walls as you enter. Underneath, unfortunately, I don't have a picture, but underneath the bottom there is the tile, which is already down. It's kind of a grayish color. So you can see the roofs coming together. All the lights are going in up top there. If you look up that way. More. Oops. Hold it back there. There's a folds of paper up there. There's more of the ship lap. That'll be where the desk is for the fitness instructor. When we enter on the right, the desk will be there. We have an NH coming in there for some really nice looking stuff. Let's see. Let's go back. Am I going back?
You're going back.
Forward. Okay, so this is what the tile looks like here. Pull a little piece up. Really nice, kind of brownish gray colors. Really nice looking. Doors are heavy doors. They're really nicely done. Well built. See the thickness of the doors there. That's looking into all fitness center. You see the cubbies are built. Give you a close up. The cubbies are built there. The paint is done in there. The lighting is going in that area. Soon they have ceiling tiles right behind it. So those cubbies are pretty big, by the way. I'll assume they're going to put some walls and stuff like that for that area. And one of the other things for both of the rooms, we were concerned about the size of the closet space. This is the big room, by the way, I'm looking at now. But the closets are quite big on both sides. You could fit chairs and such things as that. That was a concern the fitness committee had. This is the big room. It's quite large. This is the bathrooms that are inside that building coming together. This happens to be the ladies' room, I think. And going through. Well, actually, it's the men's room. There's the stalls. You can see the stalls in a minute. That's the men's room. Some more shots of the bathroom and tile selections. Cabinetries going in inside. So you can see a lot of the finish coming together. The baseboards are in. The baseboards around the windows. I don't know what we call those, but I call them baseboards. The top is done. The finish up there is done. Moving right along. Okay. And this is inside the fitness center. There's more cubbies in here for day use when you're working out of the machines and such things. The ones you see. Do I see them? Here, why don't we see them? These right here. Right there on the right. It's cubbies, more of those is a big thing. You see some nice flooring coming together here. Nice flooring there. And then I'm going to move on to the pool for you. The pool is percentage-wise probably 72% there. I love throwing these wacky numbers out, but about 72% there. They have all of it's formed. The waterfall, water features, I should say, are formed. The lap lanes are in. The tiles in both the jacuzzi and in the pool area. So that's coming along. That right to finish. They've already pretty much leveled the areas out there and got most of the dirt out of the way that they're not going to use any further. The pool is bigger than the last pool, by the way. Somebody says it's not bigger than the last pool. It is bigger.
Everybody asks that question.
Definitely bigger. So there's going to be more setup for aerobic stuff too. That's going to be a big thing. That was one of the L concentrated on. It's no more than 4 feet at any given point, so that'll be good too. Plenty of space for aerobics, ladies, water, cool stuff. That's going to be my favorite feature, by the way. So you can see I took a lot of pictures. It's going to be beautiful when it's full and done. I like to have one in my backyard, but I can't afford it. Okay, so off the pool and into the cabana. See if we can get that picture up there. Come on, cooperate. There we go. Well, that's the top. Look at the ceiling of the cabana inside. It's a tongue and groove thing, which I'm excited about. It's going to be really snappy and really good looking when it's in there. It'll be like the feature of standing. If you look straight down, the bars below you, and there'll be a few seats underneath there. Then the other seating is expanded around the building. And we also have some, we'll have some shades, power shades and such things that go in and out. And they react to the wind too, so if it gets too windy, they automatically roll back up. So it's stuff. We also have screens for inside the bar area for those summertime moments when we're open, flies become a problem. So they're automatic roll down screens in the bar area, call it. Exciting area. I wish we built it bigger. You'll say that someday too, that we built this area bigger, but we didn't. And, it will be packed. A little more shots of the ceiling there. And then we're going to go into, let's look out looking at the pool area from the building itself. We'll come inside. And that's the service area you're looking at. That's just next to the bar, whereas the POS system be there, your coffee, iced teas, things like that for the service staff. And the hood system is in play, as you see right there. That's the hood system for the kitchen. And you'll see some vents up in the ceiling, air vents up out. That ladder right there leads to my sun deck, where my water balloon machine is. So I can shoot. Remember the water balloon machine? Keep that in mind because I just might do it. Gary Lucan's helping because he's always up to no good. But that's where it's to service the ACs and such things that are up there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our little tour. I want to give you a little look-see inside. I know you don't get out there a lot like we do. The construction company's done a brilliant job. I mean, it's done a great job. We started in November. It's not even May, and we're probably 3/4 through this project and built. And we were lucky enough to build it in the season where we lost no days of rain, which typically is the case in Florida. Most people do it in the summer. Most people are looking for people just to come work because the demands are so high in the summertime of building in Florida, especially in our industry. So this has worked out quite well. I think they've been very good about moving people around. Hasn't been perfect. We've worked through it. And kudos to them and kudos to the construction committee, who's on top of this regularly with helping me all the time, doing notes for me, following me around. Gary Eve has been brilliant, to say the least. I think we all agree that Gary owes him a great deal of great. He just did a great job. I mean, Gary's on top of it. He calls me at home Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we go through each detail with him. He's right on top. He's Mr. Detail. So thank you for that. I'm going to slip on and be long-winded a little bit, Mr. President. This is going to be short. So we're still under the DeSantis recommendations to shelter at home. And we've made moves slowly. I don't, talking with my president and or my department heads making decisions. I meet with my department heads every day at 11 o'clock minus Sunday, and sometimes even Saturday. We meet at 10 o'clock on Sunday, which is an extensive meeting that we go through each of the details that we do. I pull for them and extract from them ideas of what's the best way to work, what's the safest way to work, and then come up with some ideas. I don't just pluck these out of the sky and say, okay, this is the way Patrick Norbert wants it. So, though some people might believe that, that is not the case. I've changed my mind based on Greg's recommendations, Chad's recommendations on a couple occasions, but we stood fast about trying to stay safe. You know, we look at the community. I look at my colleagues. I participate daily, just about, in surveys with my colleagues. We're talking 23 different clubs that are similar to our clubs, by the way, and similar in culture, similar in age, and similar in size. And each day we send out a memo, what are you doing today, kind of thing. Some are open, some are closed. To give you an example, you know, statistically, of the 23 clubs, last time we did a survey, who has COVID virus in their community? 10 of the 23 clubs had a COVID virus in their community. That's like 40-some percent, 43%, something like that, if I remember my writing. It's pretty strong. We, to date, have been very lucky and haven't had any reported cases in the community, nor staff, nor membership. You know, some people want me to put a gun turret at the gate up front and stop people from coming in if they're guests. We can't do that. It's a gate access community. It's not a guarded gate community. The roads are county ordained roads. If people want their guests to come in, if Bob Howell, I use you as an example because I'm looking at you, wants his brother-in-law to come visit him, I am not going to police that. So that's some of the things that we don't do. The pools, we shut them down because they were socially crazy. I mean, come on. We saw you guys must have saw pictures of some of the parties that were going on out there. They would leave the golf course, and 20 guys would go down and have their beers and exchange their bets. They'd be sitting next to each other. We had to do something. So we took the furniture down, we locked it up, and we closed the pools. When we closed the pools, we didn't say you couldn't swim. You'll never see that in writing anywhere. I never got involved with it. I said we weren't going to police it. We just need to stop them from socializing it. There's still people that jump in the pool. There's still people that go in there. We have not policed it. I mean, we can. If you want me to take it to the next level, I probably could. I don't see it necessary, to be honest with you. I think we have slowed very much so the socialization. The staff has done a brilliant job of responding all the way. Tonight for dinner, 122 dinners going out the front door. Okay, it takes an effort to do that from the kitchen side, from the staff side, the planning side, the menu side. We're all involved in my group, my department heads. We talk about what we're going to do next for food, and we try and keep it interesting. The chef's done a brilliant job of satisfying not only good menu items, but good food. It's just good food. So example is tonight we're doing our first twofers as we do in the summer. George, you remember the summer twofers? We added that, and it's been a 200 and some covering, so it's great. We get a bottle of wine with dinner tonight with fillets. We had a chef through Mike O'Neill. Mike suggested that their lobsters are sitting on the docks up in Maine. I said, and I said, why? He said, well, most of the market goes to China. He said, get it cheap. Mike actually went and called his friend and got some prices and such things. So Chef and I called ourselves and we got lobsters for a decent price. So we're flying them in. We're flying 250 lobsters in on Thursday. Literally flying them in from Maine. Okay? And they'll be alive, and they're going to be good. So, and we have 230 reservations, and we'll expand if somebody gets shut out. We have a couple extra, obviously. There's always some sleepers in a pile, right? Right? Learn more and more about lobsters. So again, they stand good there. The gate access will never close, no matter what happens. The gate people are going to stay. They're essential staff, so we'll be able to still control people coming and going. We check their licenses. You know, the construction people have been really good about staying. Some of them wear masks, some of them don't. I can't control all that, and nor will I. But I want to thank you for supporting my efforts, sincerely. I get a lot of flack on stupid issues. I really do. Sometimes it's annoying. Because I think differently than some other people think. But overall, the general support of the membership has been fantastic. And they've been very much appreciated. I got note after note. I've got 25 notes and 50 emails thanking me and congratulating me and controlling our club. So thank you for the support. And that's it, Mike. I'm done. Any questions?
Love it. Go ahead.
How about the construction crew out here? Has there been any, have they caught any of the problem? You know, they're sitting right on top of one another, you know, having lunch together. I'm surprised they're not supervised by their own company's management or something. It's completely out of control compared to our employees and people and how you're handling it. Are they still virus free?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no indication of that they are sick or they're coming to work. So we personally, as a staff, we don't go up and shake hands with them and hug them or anything like that. We identify what you identify, and we hope that they're okay. There's hand washing sinks that were added out there across the board, both sides. They're encouraged with signage to wash your hands regularly. They encourage them to. The super tough guy, Michael. the toughest 30-year-old guy I ever met. You know, he's pretty much on top of them most of the time. Behavior, I've watched him say separate. I've heard him say that. So, but I do see the guy sitting on the pail by number one in the group of four every day. You know, so that's all I got. Yes.
I just want to say thank you. I know that the people love the food, and the variety of the menu has been great for people. And every time we've had it, it's more than enough food. More than enough food. So it's really, really wonderful that we have that feature. Thank you.
You're welcome.
With regard to the golf course, it's interesting that we as trustees have received notes from different members espousing exactly different opinions on how the golf course should or shouldn't be opened up. So I think it's great that you're making tough decisions for the good of all of us.
Yeah, well, and again, I have to give the kudos to my staff, and the golf operation is an example of it. You know, Greg has got his hands around it very strongly, as well as Chad. And we made the decisions together, and they've got a good program out there, what I think keeps us safe, the sanitizing program, members handling their own bags and such things. So far, so good. Thank you, Phil.
Any other questions? If not, we'll go into Bill. You're on deck.
Oh, okay. The treasurer's report. So obviously, in the month of March, we were significantly impacted by the virus. The good news is that our cash position remains very strong. We have $4,351,000 in total cash. Now, that's lower by about $2 million from a year ago today, but that's because we have paid about $4.7 million so far for the campus expansion out of our funds. We have not yet accessed our bank loan, which is good. We're going to save some money, and congratulations to Patrick for renegotiating the loan from 4.45 to 3.75. That's terrific.
3.75, right?
Right. The bad news on the cash is that short-term rates have basically gone to zero. So, you know, not only are we down with our revenues, but we're going to be down with our interest income this year. I understand there's some good opportunities in crude oil futures that we might want to consider. So how did we do for the month? Well, our budget for the month was $128,000, and our actual for the month was $78,000. So we had a negative variance of $50,481. Now, on a year-to-date basis, we're still above budget by $13,687. However, please keep in mind, and I think we need to watch that year-to-date number very carefully, because we assume that we're going to be above budget by at least $200,000 each year, and that's the basis on which we decided to fund the campus expansion. So I think we need to be very careful. Now, Patrick, I think you mentioned that you expected April to also be about a loss of $50,000 to budget.
Yes.
I think I heard you say that.
That's correct.
But after that, it should level off as we get into the summer and projected revenues are down. But I like to take a look at page 7, which is the summary income statement, and that tells me that our gross revenues for the month were lower than budget by $169,000. Most of that was food and beverage. Food and beverage was actually the actual revenues were less than 50% of budget, and the negative variance was $123,000. And the other area was the golf shop. Obviously, the golf shop, the golf course hasn't been as active as it normally is. The people aren't buying clothes and golf clubs and things like that. And our revenues were down $169,000. Our cost of sales, offsetting that, is about $57,000. So our net revenues are down by like $110,000. Then our expenses are lower by $62,000. Now, interestingly enough, most of that is not salaries and benefits, because we made a strategic decision to try to maintain our key staff. Most of that negative or positive variance with respect to expenses is, other variable expenses, supplies, linens, electricity, propane, things like that. So we're maintaining our staff, but we did. Expenses are lower by about 62. So that's how we get to the negative variance of $50,000 for the month compared to budget. And then the details, some other details are on the treasurer's report, which I don't think I need to get into.
Any questions for Phil?
So there's going to be summary is going to have to be made, the impact of the virus on our P&L here and our income statements eventually.
Yeah, I think Al Fasulo and the Finance Committee are going to be working with Patrick and Linda to try to get an impact on what that might be. And of course, you know, the assumptions are quite wide. You know, we don't know what the fall is going to be like, whether the virus is still going to impact our residents coming back, our revenues. So it's going to be a tough one, but obviously we need to monitor that.
We've already forecasted the month of April, as Phil alluded to, and we'll continue on. As that food and beverage start looking at the losses in May, so we're going to continue on with the Finance Committee working with us to reproject the budget, finish, and then we also advantageously budget prior to the fall, so we'll start that process in August as well. The impact is it's changing day to day.
When do you anticipate us to start draw down the loan?
We have to draw it down by mid-October, and we can draw down as much as $4.4 million. The Finance Committee and Patrick we're still speculating on what that amount might be. I think with everything that's happening, it would be prudent to draw down the entire $4.4 million. But given our current cash position of $4.4 million, I think we can go a couple more months before we.
The longer we go, the better we are. I know we need to start depleting the cash portion, but still, better than borrowing.
Absolutely, because I mean, we can't earn any interest income in today's environment.
Sure.
I had mentioned to Patrick that I have a source of someone who works for Wells Fargo, which is our main bank. And he told me that the 3.75 rate is actually bottom rate. He said no one that he knows in Wells Fargo is getting a better rate than that right now. So to do it to Patrick's, I mean, that's a great negotiating point.
Will you be talking about the Small Business Administration loan?
I can. Yes, I can talk to it. I thought Bernie was going to lead into that, but Bernie's been helping me too, by the way, with his source, which is his son, who's a high up in Wells Fargo. Sorry, let him out of the bag, but he's been very helpful. So 2 weeks ago, on a Saturday morning, right, Linda? Linda was on one end of the phone, I was on the other end of the phone, my wife was on a computer. Adam calls me and says the portal's open. The portal being so you can register for the loan. So through my account, we couldn't do it to our business account. Linda couldn't get on, but through my business account, we can do it. So we did it. We got it registered on the portal. We satisfied, and hey, we're in. Okay, so I was supposed to receive some emails from them after we got on the portal. They weren't coming. So I called Adam, our bank representative, and said, Adam, where's the email? Nothing's coming. He called somebody, and somebody called somebody, and finally got my emails to come. So that's the portion that we are registered. A couple days ago, where are we at? Today's Monday. Friday we started.
On Thursday or something?
Thursday or so, we started to. I called Adam and said, Adam, why aren't we registered? You know, we have our registration. Linda has everything, as Linda has everything lined up, ready to hand over and pass our registration in. So there was no movement there, and so we kept calling and called again, and finally we got some movement. Adam spoke to somebody, and we were now able to get on to Wells Fargo and actually register for the loan. Okay? Remember, the money's been eaten up, by the way, quickly. And there's been signs that, you know, Pete Raimondo called me yesterday to give you a sense that there's a litigation against Wells Fargo because Wells Fargo was satisfying their bigger clients first. And quite frankly, I believe it's true. Because I saw it in our own area with, hence why I got 3.75 in this area. That kind of behavior does go on, I think, at some level. I'm not insinuating that it's true or not, but I think all the big money went out really quickly. The good news for us is we are in line, and we are registered, and we are in line for the appropriation money that hopefully will come through of $222 million or $222 billion.
Yes.
How much is it?
220 bill.
But I think they're going to come up with a higher. Listening to Trump last night, it sounds like they're going to beat that up even a little bit more. There's such a demand for it. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. We do qualify. We're an 1120C corporation. A lot of the other colleagues and other clubs, but there are 507Cs. They do not qualify. They've taken them out of the mix. For us, because we're a 277, and I'll make these numbers sound good, but 1120 corporation, which is a not-for-profit, we qualify. That was verified by Adam, the bank, and our auditor, which I got checked him as well. They're very confident that we do. We're waiting now for the SBA or SDA? SDA, to send us notification and an SDA number. That's our next week.
So from a financial standpoint, obviously, this is the big wild card and could make all the difference in the world
Certainly can.
to our 2020 numbers.
If it comes in, right now what we're applying for is over $700,000. That would probably surpass how much we'd need.
Patrick, what are the terms of the loan?
It's a give back. It's a 4-month loan. If you meet the requirements, which are simplified, is that you need to keep people on. Even if you furlough them, you give them the opportunity to come back to work. Keep that door open. We had to go take 8 weeks of prior payroll. We'll multiply that by 2, and that's kind of how 2 was 2 or 2.5? 2.5. 2.5, and that's how we obtain a number of 700,000. They'll come back after a certain period of time. I'm saying 4 months after the loan, and they'll test what we did as far as keeping staff on or letting staff go. And we're confident that we'll be well in line with that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's switch gears. Al Fazzullo,
I'm here.
you're on.
Okay. I after listening to Phil's report and the discussion, I'll be brief. But we did meet last Thursday. We welcomed two new members to the Finance Committee. John Lepardo, who I served with John on the Greens Committee a few years ago. And we have a special honorary member this year, and that's Pete Lombardi. And Pete brings a really good historical perspective to our finances, as well as his banking knowledge. So we welcome him. In terms of the March financials, I mean, I think Phil covered it well. We did have a $50,000 negative variance, which we did expect. And year to date, we still have a favorable variance, but it's very small. I think it was around 13,000, and I'm assuming in April we're going to lose money. So, you know, Linda goes through line by line, and we've gone through everything. But after Linda gave her report, I would say we rapidly left the prepared agenda to discuss the elephant in the room, and of course that was how do we navigate through this coronavirus situation. Along with myself, every committee member was very concerned about what actions we could take to mitigate any damage done to our finances. And of course, we are going to need new projections as we move forward. But as Phil mentioned, there's still so many unknowns that it's kind of difficult to do. But I know that Linda and Patrick are working on it. Everyone had a lot of questions. After listening to Patrick and Linda, I, for one, who was very concerned going into the meeting, was much more comfortable that our management was on top of the situation and was taking corrective action and appropriate action as well. And I'll tell you, we really are fortunate to have such talented administrators on our payroll. Did I say that correctly, Patrick? Was there...
Patrick's left the room. He left.
Oh, he did. Okay. Well,
He's back. I'm here. Sorry, Al. Wisecrack, I had to step out and talk to the contractor for a second. What did he say?
You were doing a good job.
Oh, Al, thank you very much. That's awfully nice.
As for the project subcommittee, I've reported previously in the past, and again, you heard from Phil, I believe the committee is leaning towards definitely borrowing the entire $4.4 million in October. I think, you know, I'm concerned from a cash standpoint that we have as much cash on hand as we possibly can. We had asked Patrick to negotiate a lower interest rate, and again, you've heard he managed to get it down to 3.75, which I am just amazed at. It was 4.45. Actually, before signing the loan agreement, it was up to 4.65. So we've come down almost a full point in the last several months. We continue to monitor the cost of the project. However, until the project is really completed, it's very difficult to get any final results until we know what the cost sharing is going to look like at the end of the project. So that's kind of where we stand. We're going to meet again in May, and I know Patrick and Linda are working as hard as they can on coming up with some of these corrective actions. So that's all I have, and I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone may have.
Any questions, Gary?
Al, Gary Lukens. When we
Hi,
borrow,
Gary.
hi, when we borrow the money, say all 4.4 million, what's the schedule for payback on that? How has that been agreed to with the bank? Anybody?
It's an 8-year amortization. Phil, as I recall, it's $630,000 a year in principal payments and, of course, interest. And then, the money that we borrow on the line of credit is interest only until October.
Okay.
So there is a schedule, and there's no prepayment penalties up to 20% a year.
20%. That was my next question.
So when we talk about the total interest that's going to be paid over the life of the loan, it depends on how much we pay each year. It could be as low as $500,000. It could be as high as $650,000. And obviously, when you discount that back to present value, it's not the same as paying the contractor $1 million today.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, Dick Rogan.
Yeah, you ready?
You're on.
Okay, the Community Relations Committee met last Tuesday, again to confirm the new membership and to set our agenda for the balance of the year. We came up with basically three general areas that we're going to focus on. The first is the Terramina Reserve project at Santa Barbara and Davis. There's really no new changes as it relates to that. The Planning Commission has on their website a meeting scheduled for May 7th, although there's no agenda yet. I've tried to talk to the principal planner on the project, and I leave voicemails and don't get any responses. I'm thinking there's nobody home, which is probably a good thing. I don't really expect anything to happen, even if there is a May 7th meeting, because the builder has not met all of the requirements that they have to go through before they appear before the commission, which includes the neighborhood information meeting and its posting, and none of that has taken place. So certainly between now and the next month or more, I don't think there's anything that's going to happen. So it's just a matter of paying attention and watching to see what's going on. But right now, there's nothing. The other two things that we thought made sense for us to focus on in the upcoming year, the one we've described as the Davis Boulevard corridor, and that's paying attention to development that's taking place up and down Davis Boulevard between Collier Boulevard and Santa Barbara. Like other people, I've taken to finding ways to exercise that I haven't done before, and one of those is taking bike rides. And the other day, I took a bike ride through the area behind Taco Bell and McDonald's on, I guess that would be the northwest corner of the intersection of Davis and Collier. And I was blown away by what appears to be hundreds of multifamily units under construction in that area. You can see a little bit of that as you drive up Davis from Collier. If you look to your right, you can see a development taking place. what I was surprised at is that's not the only development that's taking place. And as you get further behind there, closer to Collier, there's a whole new development under construction, multifamily. I have no idea how many units, but if someone said there were 300 or 400 of them there, I wouldn't be surprised. So anyway, we want to pay attention to what's going on up and down that corridor. More specifically, the notion of ultimately a traffic light at our entrance, and we also want to pay attention and keep a dialogue going with the state about landscaping, median landscaping up and down Davis. So that's an area for us to stay focused on as a committee. And then the third thing is we had talked when we were working with the commissioners on the club expansion that at some point we would invite most probably Bert Saunders to come and conduct a town hall meeting once we got all of that done. And so we're targeting next January to have Bert come to Naples Heritage, do a town hall meeting, and bring Mark Strain, the director of the Planning Commission, along with him so that Mark can make a presentation to the community about growth plans for Collier County generally and our immediate areas specifically. So those are the three items on our agenda, and that's that.
Question, Dick Dashna. Are you still planning to meet with Mark Strain to stress this issue on the elevations at that corner at Taramina, Dick?
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. That's what, if I wasn't clear, then my whole discussion about Taramina Reserve is, we're all over that. And as soon as we can find somebody home and there's signs of life at the Planning Commission, we'll be meeting with him informally to talk about it, and then formally we will appear at any hearings that take place. No, absolutely. No, we're all over that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dick.
Oh, okay.
Let's move on to the golf committee. Jim?
Yeah, this is Jim Rallis. So we met last Monday. The committee added 2 more people since you put the committees together. We added another woman to the committee because there was discussion that there weren't enough, and I wanted to make sure the committee had some balance, so that was taken care of. Greg gave us an update about all the evolving changes that were taking place and due to the virus. And as you can see where we're at, we're using separate carts. We've added $3 tip for the cart staff because they have to take care of disinfecting the carts, and we want to minimize contact. The pro shop's obviously blocked, and we're looking out for the safety of our members and our staff. The evolving golf policy has been posted on the Naples Heritage website, so people can constantly look there. The golf staff has been staying and doing other jobs. Reciprocals were discussed, but we're really not sure how that's going to work out until things start opening up, and we're still not sure how that's going to work with people allowing guests into their communities. So there's no projected date there. A question came up about the carts. The contract for the carts is over in November of this year. So this golf staff will be taking a look at that 3 to 4 months out and looking at vendors. It was discussed that, which carts would we get, what kind of GPS, and apparently carts and GPS manufacturers are kind of married up, so it's kind of hard to pick a cart and a different GPS. And we're also looking at batteries for a longer life. And again, that'll take place in a few months. Chad gave us a report about hopefully the new putting green behind the fitness center. Hopefully the projected opening date would be November 1st. His big summer project will be a phrase mowing around the green collars to level them off, and leveling off sprinkler heads around the greens as well. We tried to put together our handicap committee, but as you can imagine, nobody wants to volunteer to do that. So we'll be working on that, and we'll have that in place by the time season arrives. Our tournament committee was put together. They got together right away, and they met with the MGA and LGA on Friday, and they set up next season's schedules. I sent it to you yesterday, so if there's any questions you can ask later. But it appears that the schedule is pretty much in place. The LGA would like to have an LGA-MGA dinner dance. The men kind of feel a little differently about it, so that's still to be talked about. There was discussion about the club couples member guest. Did not go off last year due to lack of signing up, and it was discussed as maybe moving a different date. But in the discussion by the tournament committee, it seemed like the date wouldn't change things and the price point wouldn't change things. So they came up with an alternative to use 2 of the 9 and dines that had the least amount of participation, and we're going to use the 2 of those 9 and dines to invite guests. So Greg said that would work out for him, and that'll work out for everybody to bring guests into the community and still do some golfing and enjoy dinner in the clubhouse. The MGA, with their scheduling, the President's Cup will still be match play. They're just going to do it on 3 consecutive Wednesdays. People don't have to be making their own tee times. We'll see how that works out again. The MGA is going to try to add a couple of different things to their play. They're going to try to increase membership by adding a blue tee event, and they'd like to add a 9-hole event. Again, the clubhouse, the pro shop said they can accommodate all this due to Golf Genius. Golf Genius allows them to get people to sign up with multiple choices on an email, and allows them to set it up with scorecards. So we're hoping that all works out so that we can recruit new members to the MGA. The associations in giving their reports, the MGA is down significantly in membership. Membership last year was 259. In its peak in 15-16, it was 321. The year before, it was 281, down to 259. So we're losing people. We're not sure why the MGA is losing people. We think it could be age, it could be medical issues, but it doesn't seem like new members are joining. So they've discussed some things, and that's one of the reasons we're trying to add blue tee play. And the MGA is going to send out a poll to try to find out why people are not joining. And they're going to try a couple other things with the LGA tries a buddy program. When new people come in, they assign somebody to go out there and try to draw them in. So the MGA is going to try that as well. The LGA is going to update their handbook, but it's not going to be printed. It'll just be on their website. And at the end of the meeting, the LGA and MGA had tried to talk about, again, trying to get recruitment up, eliminate Chelsea points for LGA and MGA play. So it was discussed, the pros and cons were thrown around, and they brought it up again at the scheduling meeting on Friday. Greg said he had lost sleep over it and came up with all the anti-arguments, and I believe he made the points that the LGA and MGA kind of feel like they're going to back down and not try to push that, but they do need to increase their membership, and that was one of their options. What other thing was it was brought up about the walking and biking on the golf course, especially now with the coronavirus, everybody around. Again, that's part of the special committee chaired by John Clace. Any feedback that he needs from us, we would like to, our ears are open. We'd like to give suggestions, but that definitely needs to be addressed. And let's see. And that's probably pretty much it from the golf committee, if you have any questions.
Jim, I have a question, Bernie. What were the negative arguments about the Chelsea points from Greg?
So the negative points were, if you're trying to give people no points on that day, you're already giving the person who has a lot of Chelsea points a free option to play on Wednesday. Their points don't matter; they get a tee time on that day. So you're already giving them a gift that day to just allow them to play in the LJ or MGA. If you give them a free point day, they get kind of some pushback on you. If you're a 2-day, 3-day player, you get hurt by giving them that no point.
So access to the people who don't play in the MGA.
Yeah, you're giving somebody who's playing a lot the ability to push you out of a good slot when you've already given him a bonus day to play for free.
Motivation. Yeah.
And if Greg was on the phone, he would explain it much better because he's got a much better grasp of the whole thing, doing it every day. But it was significantly a negative impact.
Discussion was about the LGA and the MGA.
Oh, both.
Both. It wasn't just the MGA. The LGA has been, I think the LGA actually started the discussion on this. The MGA was looking for an opportunity to try to expand their membership, and they thought this might be an answer. But during the meeting, Jim, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think we had pretty much, your committee decided that it would make sense to try some other avenues to get new members next year. And you've mentioned the two, which is the 9-holers and the blue tee options. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, we want to try to draw people in and give them as many options as possible. So the MGA is going to try to do the 9-hole for gold tee members and add a blue tee for low handicappers to come in and play with a separate game.
And currently, we also do not charge Chelsea points for club events.
And what about Sunday? Charge it
Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday.
2 more days that
Right.
play without points.
Right.
Hey, Jim, this is Luke again. I had a question. When you mentioned that we might have guests for the 9 and dines, wasn't there a question whether or not we could open up all 18 holes for that? And I think Greg's response was yes, we could.
Yes, that's correct. So those events, he may even try to start them a little earlier once he tries to set it up and sees what kind of participation. It could become an 18-hole event. And in particular, the one in April is the Masters Par 3 event, and he says that became pretty popular, so that would probably become an 18-hole event. Opening all 18 holes for 9-hole event. So we get more participation.
And more income for the club, obviously.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We'll move on to the ARC. Ted?
All right, Ted is here. We had a very brief meeting and only had 2 racks proposed. We do have a new member, Greg Kauser from Arbor Lakes has joined. That was a recruitment challenge, and I've got some nice help from Georgie, so thank you. The 2 racks that were approved were both for tile on the terraces. And after a long ordeal with insurance companies and stuff, it looks like Arbor Lakes and Stony Brook terraces will all match. And I think every terrace in here is going to have the same roof tile color. So that's a nice thing. And that's pretty much the end of our meeting. It was, and we saluted John Metzel, who's been on the committee for 6 years, and that's combat pay for that kind of length of time on ARC. So we certainly salute John for all the time he's given us to this club. Any questions?
Hearing no questions, we'll move on to the Greens Committee and Bruce.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay. Good. Okay, the Greens Committee, Green and Ground Committee met April 15th. We have 4 new members of our committee. On your minutes, a couple of highlights I wanted to note to you. First one is that Chad and I are going to connect, along with Bob, with the Long Range Planning Committee to discuss our irrigation system in light of the numerous breaks over the last 6 months, 3 months, 6 months. We've had a number of breaks in our lines, different sizes, and we need to firm that up as far as how that aligns to the Long Range Planning Committee and their vision for projects on the golf course. As mentioned before, and we approved a practice green to be put in place sometime in the June-July timeframe behind the rec center when it's finished. Depending upon when we can get the green constructed, and Gordy can get in there, Gordy Lewis can get in there and help us out with that. If we plug it properly this summer, we should have the green done by use of the green in November. Now keep in mind, the later that the plugging takes place, the later that the green might get done or not get done by November. So we need to stay on top of that, and Chad's doing his usual great job of being the point person for that project. And he's got the budget all set to go, and he's ready to move on that particular item as soon as we can get in there. So those are the 2 big items: the irrigation system and the use of the practice green. We also recommended and discussed last meeting with the board about once the new practice putting green is completed, how we could rearrange our practice range area to expand it appropriately to a larger size that would be somewhat aligned but not quite aligned to what we have to have given the needs of our community. So Chad is going to be met with Patrick and Chad, myself, Greg, and Chris, and we talked about getting bids for that practice range changes for the following summer and how that might look and what needs to be done as far as making that appropriate. And we talked about that last month, and it's in your notes also for this month. And then finally, as far as the use of the golf course by non-golfers, if you recall in February, the Green Committee, along with the Golf Committee, made a recommendation to the board that the golf course be used for golfers only. Our committee, the Green Committee, benchmarked neighboring courses and found none of them allowed non-golfers on the courses for safety and other reasons. As a result of this recommendation, the board in February formed a subcommittee to study the use and this issue, and after 2 months, they have come up with their recommendation. Last week, prior to our meeting, Mike O'Neill asked Chad and I to take a look at our Green Committee, to look at the subcommittee's policy and make any recommendations. And after hearing the presentation of the subcommittees about use of the golf course by non-golfers, we suggested that the big change in the wording be such that non-golfers should be allowed after all golfers, including those that are walking and those that are in carts, are off the course. So I'd like to remind the board that please remember that at our February recommendation of the Green and Golf Committee about having no golfers on the golf course is still on the table, in addition to your subcommittee's report that will be discussed later in, this morning at the board meeting. Any questions on that?
It's Phil. I know we talked last month about the possibility of limiting non-golfers to the cart paths, and I think that would be a good idea.
Let's save our discussion for that. He's going to go back into that.
That's on the agenda.
I'm at the
In
Any other questions for the Green? Any questions for the Green Committee?
Okay.
It's a good idea, though.
Hearing no questions, we'll move on to the House Committee. Mary?
I'm here.
Mary,
Good morning.
you're up.
All right, I'm ready to go. We have 12 enthusiastic members on the committee. There are 5 new ones. We met last Wednesday. Mostly what we wanted to do was pick up the pieces from the what had been suggested by the previous committee members. One of them being go ahead with the talent show. It's going to involve a little bit of money, extra money for a stage and lighting. It was recommended blind for the alcove, so there's probably notes in everyone's minutes there. The other thing they wanted to do, and I think this is going to be was a fun idea, to come up with a name other than Cabana for our new building. They had a whole list of other communities that have named their Cabana outdoor eating, drinking area. And so we thought that might be fun to get the community involved, and we have a committee to go ahead with that if everybody's comfortable with that. The blood drive is going to be, the blood drive will be back reporting to the House Committee. It did that years ago, but somehow got lost. And the beautification committee that reported to the House Committee is now reporting to the Greens Committee. There was a committee, there have been suggestions that came in on what to do with the old exercise building, so we have a subcommittee formed to develop some suggestions and guidelines as to how to decide what to do with the space in the old exercise building. Jamie had much of the 2021 calendar completed. He was just waiting for the golf info, and it sounds like they just completed that on Friday and have given that to him. It was suggested to show our appreciation for the work and effort the staff have put into keeping the club up and running while following the CDC guidelines. Thank you notes were sent to the department chairs and people in the office. And I think that's all I have. We're going to try to have another meeting in May somehow, either phone or video or in a small group setting, to pull together some of these loose ends and see what we need to do before fall.
Questions for Mary?
That's it.
Mary, it's Phil. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Say that the Beach Boys cover band, which should be a lot of fun, will be held here at the club rather than off-site. What does that mean? What would off-site?
Well, there had been suggestion from the immediate preceding committee to have it at a larger venue, like at Hope Church. And but when we talked about it, we decided the logistics of that was just too crazy. We'd lose a lot going back and forth, and so we thought it'd be better to have it 2 nights at our facility.
Okay, great. And the second question I have is that I heard that that we got a credit from the Bee Gees cover band, and was wondering if we were going to schedule them sometime in the winter.
Yes.
We have a lot of activities scheduled. Everything's tentative, but and people have been contacted about coming, but nothing has necessarily been firmed up just yet.
Patrick can answer that.
Well, we have credit from them with future date. We don't have the date set yet. Still moving on. We have to get work on their schedules and our schedules and what's going on.
Yeah, I saw them at all.
Yeah,
heard good things about it.
The one other thing, our little budget items that we have in our minutes had to do with the blinds and the stage, and there had been, what came up before was a wireless sound system to be installed in the dining room. So just put those in your margins. They're peanuts compared to the money we're bleeding currently, but we're hoping to get that done. So, any other questions?
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Sure.
There was bylaw committee did not meet. Next is long range planning. Gordon?
Okay, thank you very much. Sort of interesting times for the Long Range Planning Committee because with the end of expansion, I think a number of people sort of think we've just done everything that needs to be done. But I think everybody here realizes when you're not moving forward, you're sort of going backward, and there's lots of things that are going to consume our time. We have several new members on the committee. Most of them are well known to you. I won't go through everybody, but most of them are on other committees as well, which is going to be very helpful as we go ahead. When you look at the new bylaw information, the Long Range Planning Committee, the function of the committee is to gather club improvement proposals from all the other committees for consideration to be entered into a 5-year plan. I think because expansion was going on for a number of years, the long-range planning had become sort of more informal. And I think what we want to do here is make it a more formal process, with the goal being to have a living, breathing document of what we want to try to accomplish over the coming years. Of course, when you do something like that, it's always open to modification based on circumstances and changing events, as we're living through right now, perhaps. But our goal will be to do that. The way that we're going to try to do that is that every committee member will liaison with the other committees. Now, I know the other committees have a lot of business that doesn't involve long-range planning issues, but they'll be in touch with the chairman of the committees to figure out when it would be best for them to come in and discuss what we're trying to do. When you have all these different committees that might want to do things, we're going to have to balance between have-to-have things and things that are nice to have. The majority of our members on the long-range planning committee are also on other committees. So when we see a liaison, they're probably already on your committee. So it's going to be just a way to facilitate communication. Our idea is, if we, to the degree that we can standardize input with a template sort of approach, so that when the board has to look at or consider multiple ideas, at least that you can sort of see them in a more familiar way. So it just makes it maybe a little easier to sort of go through them and figure out what's doable and what might have to wait, et cetera. So we're going to try to provide templates as a way for each of your committees to think about how they need to think about putting ideas forward for the long-term planning, and to get into the document that hopefully will be a guide for the management board. To a certain degree, things like cost benefit are always beneficial. Sometimes they're very difficult. You can figure out the cost of doing a biking trail or a walking trail, but it might be pretty hard to figure out what the benefit is to people's health in the neighborhood, or how we're viewed by our members, whatever. So sometimes cost-benefit analysis isn't as simple as it is in business, but we'll try to deal with that issue and try to have some, sort of standardized ways to put this information forward. So in short, our goal is to develop a plan for next season. Members of the committee, there's 3 of them on the finance committee. Almost all the things we'll be thinking about will involve, financial aspects to it, so that's very good. We have some senior executives that have done lots of strategic planning in large companies and in different areas of North America and Europe. And so we'll be trying to approach this, I hate to use the words more professional, because I do know the expansion has been the focus for a number of years. But we'll try to approach it in a way that we can produce a good document with all of your input. Produce it in a way when proposals come forward for everybody to be able to better evaluate. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The President Council not meet. Next one up will be Recreation.
Yeah, hi, this is Brian Furry. We had our meeting on Thursday. Patrick provided an excellent summation of what was going on, much as he has done this morning. Specifically, he noted that the estimated completion date for the fitness center and office complex was in May. Also, in addition to the green behind the fitness center, there was he advised that there would be 2 new bocce courts available in the future, which I think is a great idea. There are quite a few bocce players we see as we drive by on our golf carts. With respect to the pool, Patrick indicated that it will be bigger than the old pool. We'll have lap lanes painted on the bottom. It will be heated using energy efficient heat, and renovations to the fitness facility are underway to create a new multi-purpose room. The old concession stand will be used for storage as required. I seem to have lost the ability to read my pages here. Anyway, Greg also provided an update, indicated that we would be having hire a new fitness director for the fall, and unfortunately, as I said, I seem to have lost contact with my notes here on my computer. In any event, I did want to mention the fact that there was talk of a pickleball subcommittee. I've recommended to Georgie that Joe McFarland would be an excellent addition, as he is the coach of the various pickleball teams, and I also recommended several other individuals. As I guess that's probably all I could indicate at this point. Are there any questions? Hello?
Any questions from the board?
Hello?
I just wanted to tell Brian, I'm planning on calling those people, but I decided I'd make sure that the subcommittee information that I'm presenting to the board later is on the same page as the rest of the board before I go and ask the final people. So that's
okay.
I haven't contacted them yet.
All right, that sounds good.
Very good.
Any other questions?
No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad.
Brian, last but not
yes. Hello?
Brian, you're up.
You just did that.
Hello?
Brian O'Donnell?
Brian O'Donnell.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're on.
The committee met last Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and basically we welcomed one new member who's a retired police officer from the Detroit area. Again, we continue with the e-blast on the 23-mile-an-hour speed limit. We're asking the Davis Boulevard personnel on the gate to remind the guests and workers and delivery and commercial drivers about our speed limits. We are going to attempt to get the CPR AED class again this year through the Collier County Sheriff's Office, and also the active shooter class, which we had last year, which 22 people signed up and 17 actually attended. It was a very good meeting. The stoplight at the Davis Boulevard gate requested in the past, and the state will be contacted in the future to see if it's warranted or not. And then going back to what people said before about people on the golf course, riding bicycles and walking during the morning, especially during the morning when the workers are out there in the carts and it's dark, it is a hazard to them, a safety hazard to them. And then one of the members requested about walking in the street instead of on the sidewalks, and we decided to cut a little slack on that one because of the 6-foot distance. And if people are on the sidewalk and people are moving into the street, we don't see a problem with that at this point right now. That's about it. Any questions?
Oh, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Old business. ARC guidelines. Chair will entertain a motion. Everybody's had a chance to go over. Are there any?
I just have one comment, because this is coming up in the terrace buildings about the colors of the roof. And it doesn't really say in here that the roofs have to be coordinated on the terrace. And I didn't know, I mean, is that just because of subject to approval, so it doesn't make any difference? Because we were worried because one of the buildings in Stony Brook is approved for a new roof through insurance. And we don't know about the other two buildings if they will be covered or when they'll get a new roof. So it was just a question.
Hang on. Ted? Yeah. John, wasn't that discussed? That
Yes, it was, and it turns out that all three buildings have signed off on the same roof color.
Yeah, I know that we have, but I was just saying in here, it really doesn't, that's required. And should that be something that they look into in the future to put that on, that they want the terrace buildings to coordinate with each other? Or is that just handled internally?
It's handled internally by the ARC.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Okay. That was just my question. Thank you.
Any other comments about the ARC guidelines?
No, I love the way they've been rewritten. We spent some time on that, and when the time comes, I would entertain a motion to, I would make a motion to approve those guidelines as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Next one is non-golfers on the golf course.
There's a
John?
27-minute time limit on this, okay?
You're up, John. I think I can do it in less than 15. Well, you know that we've been working on this for 2 months. We have a committee made up of Georgie and Luke and Bernie, myself, and Janice Kaffmeyer, who I think is listening in as we speak.
Janice, are you in?
Yes, I am.
Correct me when I go astray here, Janice. First of all, I'd like to remind you that this committee was formed for a reason. There's been several comments over at least 4 years when I've been on the Greens Committee about liability, people getting hurt, something has to be done. We did a new rule. The old rule was ridiculous because it said people could only walk during the mornings before golf maintenance. Well, that certainly is a dangerous kind of a thing. So we don't want to work on liability there. And we do have people that we want to be safe all the time. That's our golfers, whether they're walking, pulling a cart, whatever they're doing. Our focus was on safety. We want to make sure that everybody understands that we're not concerned about liability here or exclusivity where we ban certain people for whatever reason or just because it's a golf course. So the first thing we want to clear up is the intent of the rule. The second thing is how we're going to educate the members of this community. And the third, enforce the rules that we have. So when we talk about safety, we want to make sure that there's no one out there in the mornings getting in the way of the workers. So we have to make sure that the rule says that. And if you read the rule, if you don't mind my going through it with you right now, it says for recreation, for the safety of others, walkers, joggers, or bikers only use the golf cart paths in the evenings after golf maintenance and golf cart play are completed. That's the rule. The rest is please follow. We know also that there is golf maintenance, and another part is no walkers will be allowed when golf maintenance is going on during those days when the course is closed. Okay? And then after a lot of discussion, we thought that walking and biking should be allowed after golf cart play is completed. Why? Well, there's not a safety issue. It's primarily the late afternoon when we have a lot of people still playing golf, like during a shotgun, and people who aren't aware of what's going on come zipping by on bikes. Or people who really don't seem to have much common sense come zipping by on bikes when there are people out there playing and pay no attention to them. But most people have common sense and common courtesy. So the golfers who would like to walk the course, while there is still play going on from people who are walking the course and playing, we are allowed to do that. There should not be a concern about people walking or biking getting in the way of those people who are walking, golfing, because there is plenty of space between them. Usually, when people on bikes or walking see a group ahead of them, they either slow down or get off the course and go ahead and find another spot. It's tricky to say the golf course should be restricted only to those people who are registered golfers, because we all know, if we have eyes, that people might be registered during the day, and a few do register for later in the day when they're going to be walking. But God knows, and the path between my villa and the villa next door shows, people go and walk whenever they feel like it in the evening, because they're not registered. It's after dinner. Who would you even register with? The golf pro shop is closed. They go out and play. I don't think there's any way on God's earth you can restrict that. All right. What we have to do is remember that we have a golf club that we did not want to have turn into divisive groups, because there are people who feel adamant about both things, keeping non-golfers off the course and allowing people who are paying their fees for this club to have a chance to use an amenity that's there. There is no reason why we can't get along. So, as long as we take a stand that walking is permitted after golf cart play, but not during any kind of serious golf cart play. Let's face it, people walking the golf course playing are not out there because they are part of some competition. They're out there because they're enjoying themselves, taking their time, and doing all right. So we needed to clarify the rule. We needed to make sure that there was some kind of enforcement of the rule, and we certainly needed to make sure that people were educated about what the rule is. So we came up with these elements. We added new rule to the directory, which I just read for you. We also suggested that we put inserts in the directory that from everything else that explained the rule. 3, we asked for e-blasts so that people could get reminded constantly about what the rule is, and for those people who show up later in the year and haven't heard about what's going on, they will be reminded. And we also want signs, not 15 or 16 signs, but 4. One bulletin board near the golf shop, a sign at each bathroom on the course, and then a sign at the gazebo between, as you go from the 6th hole to the 7th hole. All right? So our final recommendation addresses enforcement. One of the weaknesses today is that, first of all, the rule was confusing for many years. Now it's stated rather clearly, only in the evening, only after golf cart play, and only on the cart paths. That takes care of the question that Phil had. So the board has asked, we are asking Patrick and the board, and I think Gary's on board now, and Chad, to help out with some kind of enforcement. And for that, we've created these helpful cards, a copy of which you can see at the bottom of the piece of paper you have that has the pink. And we think that we can implement this in the summertime, keep it going until September, at which time we want full enforcement and people to pay close attention to what's going on. And if we try it in September, October, November, we should have a gall darn good feeling for how it's working or is not working. And at that time, the board might take another different approach. But that's it.
John, can I just add something to that? These helpful cards would be handed out, we hope, by the starters, by Chad and his assistant, not the workers on the course. And they'll have these signs up that you'll be able to see rather clearly in the 4 spots that you mentioned. Again, we did this because we felt it didn't feel right as a community to restrict never going on the golf course. And the registered golf issue that you mentioned, John, is very important. So all we're trying to do at this point, the main thing is to educate people so they understand the rule. As we go further along, if we have to amend that, because there's been some issues with walkers and walking with golfers, then we can always come back to it. But I think that this is because most of the trouble that I've seen, I live off of the 15th green, are people in the morning that are walking with all of the equipment rushing back and forth. And we wanted to make sure that they're safe. We want to make sure our staff is safe. That's basically thoughts on this, but that's it.
Are there any questions?
Further discussion, Bob?
No. I was on a discussion from the Greens Committee. One of the questions I have is, Patrick, what's our legal counsel say about the walkers versus letting the walkers be out there golfing and then people riding bikes hit by the golfers and so forth?
We have no legal opinion, but we're certainly insured for any kind of with a $10 million coverage. We have plenty of coverage to protect us from that. So I have no legal opinion. I don't think there's really one out there. I don't think any golf course
legal
does.
counsel doesn't have any.
I don't think any golf course does. We've been operating the same way for 25 years, 24, 25 years.
Some of the other discussions were if we have, why do people play in the evening? They can walk on the course anytime they want and not register ahead of time. Should that be allowed?
Well, that's something. It's a bit subjective. I think John's take on it is that there's no enforceability for somebody to come on after dinner at 6 o'clock and walk the golf course. I live on a private club in Marco Island, and right now it's packed. After 6 golfers done playing, they're walking, riding bikes, walking dogs, playing golf. I mean, it's very indicative of all golf clubs. And they live to play on it. I don't how do you enforce it? I guess is my question. It really is.
One of the things we suggested was after registration for walkers and riders, then they could come on the course. And I don't understand, have people come on the course anytime and chipping or putting, we got a practice area. I mean, that's why we build a practice area. They can chip and putt up there. They come on the course. They don't bring any sand with them. Should it be allowed? And then could they get hit by a person out there walking? And that's some questions that came from. A biker has another way of using the, we've got bike paths and a street they can be on. And we've got a practice area for people on playing at night. I mean, that you can go. We got a practice area. You don't need a golf course for a practice area. Those are some of the discussions that took place in the meeting that I was in last week. And I just want to share that with them. I don't think it's, yes.
I'm a little confused because now you're talking about people walking the golf course after hours. And you're talking about it might not be safe because there are people out there.
Golfing. Yeah. That's a discussion.
And you're also talking about maybe going out and practicing chipping or putting or whatever.
Yeah.
No, that's not allowed.
Question of enforcement.
How can you?
I'm not sure how you could enforce it, unless you hired a ranger or something to play because they were not playing out there, because they were playing out there.
We don't have no rangers.
I don't think it's a biggest problem as projected, by the way. There is that random person that goes out there, but not, on a nightly basis, you don't have 20 or 30 people out there playing. And we encourage and we expect them to check in if they're walking. We absolutely do. So I mean, kind of a self-analysis. So like John sees somebody out there chipping on a green. John knows X person. John tells X person at the golf shop. We'll talk to him. We'll call him. Say, please don't do that after hours. Well, that's how we'd handle it. But I don't really and truly believe, and you all live here every day, there's a huge problem with people coming out of their house and playing golf. Because everybody pretty much knows the rules, except a few. I know one in the single family homes. We all know him.
I wonder if I could ask Bruce if he'd like to add something to the discussion.
Bruce, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on. The key point is with the subcommittee's recommendation that John went through, we've got people who walk at 5 o'clock at night, who go to the golf shop, they've got a sand bottle, they're walking 9 holes at 5 o'clock at night or 10 minutes to 5 at night, and they got to be interfered by bikers, walkers, and joggers. There are golfers out there, and they feel there's a lot of people that walk, and our committee felt that a lot of people enjoy walking, playing golf, and they should be bothered by other people in their way.
I'm looking at them from this, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think what the Bruce's committee is saying, just tweaking this a little bit to state that walking golf and golfers that are checked through the pro shop, and this is what we talked about. We're never going to correct the people going out at 7 o'clock at night with 2 clubs in your hand. I mean, unless you want to hire 18 policemen, 1 for each hole. But I think what Bruce is saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, you're saying that people that have checked in with the pro shop and are walkers with a card should also be included in this little rule regulation we're putting out. Is that correct?
Yeah. If I'm playing golf at 6 o'clock at night, who cares if I'm in a cart or if I'm dragging my bag behind me? I'm playing golf at 6 o'clock at night. I'm legitimate. I've gone through the pro shop. I carry a sand bottle. Why should I have to wrestle with joggers and bikers and walkers because I'm walking, dragging my cart versus somebody that's driving a cart playing golf?
If I don't understand what they're
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess my question is, how do we know who's registered in walkers?
At least we could post it that way anyway, put it in the regulation.
Yeah, you could post it. I mean, that, yeah, but I'm not sure you're ever going
It's
to
just a
know
little bit of a
exactly.
tweak what we're talking about.
That's a tweak we put in. That's that they registered.
Bruce, Dick speaking. Are you concerned about the safety aspect of a golfer walking may hit a ball into someone that's on a bicycle? Is that your concern?
Exactly. Chad had a good example about 10 days ago where a member apologized to Chad. He said, Chad, I was playing a hole, and this person came jogging around the corner. He said, I almost hit this person jogging, and this person was legitimate, going through the golf course, the golf shops, signing up to play golf before 5 o'clock, and dragging their cart behind them. So those people should not be interfered by non-golfers if they're okay as far as following our policy and our whatever the policy might be in our handbook.
Well, Bruce and John again here. I really don't think there's a real problem with bikers and walkers interfering with golfers who are having a recreational golf game on a golf course, which hours or later in the day. I've done it. You know, I've played golf in the evenings, and I've ridden my bike in the evenings, and people seem to be pretty courteous and calm, and use some common sense when they run into, if they happen to run into somebody who is still golfing. I think this is overblown.
Well,
All right, this is Bruce. We had a couple members on our green committee that said that they've walked at 5 o'clock at night playing golf, and they don't like to be interfered with a walker or jogger coming at them while they're playing golf.
Explain what interfering is.
Golfer or not, they're playing golf.
Yeah, how are they interfering?
We got an email just a few days ago.
Yeah, I know one guy.
All right, well, that's
some clown. I think we know who it is now.
If somebody is registered through the golf course at 4:45, they should have the right of the golf course without bikers or walkers. Not the people at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock going out and doing it. We're not talking about that. But I think it's a golf course first, okay, and not a recreation area.
Well, I can't argue with that, but I don't think we're having a problem with people going out at 5 o'clock. I mean, riding bikes and all that. If there are people golfing, they're not going to go out.
Well, that's not what this rule. That's what the golf committee is saying. They want you to add in there the simple thing about people checked in through the golf shop. Right?
John, can I add just the field research that we did? Because I just think it's important to balance both points.
Go ahead.
We were very thoughtful about the wording on this, and we wanted to understand the impact to those who choose to golf and walk. And so we went out over, I want to say, the last month and registered, called the pro shop, said, I want to walk the golf course. And then we actually talked to a dozen different members who were out playing golf, walking over the last month. They were playing golf, walking. And we talked to a dozen members. And seriously, we found zero issues with this. When I asked the golfers in my foursome, or I went up and talked to other foursomes or twosomes who were walking, I said, are you upset about a walker or a biker that would delay your game? And they really were quite surprised and kind of laughed at my question. And they said, why should I care? I'm out here enjoying the evening. And I'm glad to see my neighbors out getting exercise. And then I'd witness them say, hi, I wish you have a nice evening. I'm glad to see you out here. They were very aware of each other. And what we concluded is it kind of came down to attitude. It was the people who chose to golf in the evening, walking, were enjoying the evening. They weren't competing. They weren't worrying about the person in front of them and keeping pace of play. I found that actually quite interesting.
Dennis, this is Mike O'Neill. Have you given thought to allowing walkers but not allowing bicycle?
Yes, we did. And there was 2 points on this. Think back about February. We talked about how important the enforcement was. And however we decide or you all decide to word this rule, if it's not enforced, it becomes meaningless. And given the sensitivity around this, we wanted to make sure it was easy to enforce. And it comes down to, when is it easiest to enforce? It's when you have golf staff here. And so we went through a couple scenarios. Let's say it's 4 p.m. You got golf carts out there, and you see a biker go by. And I don't care if you're on your lanai or if you're out actually in the cart path and a biker goes by. You can easily call the pro shop, and they can address it easily. However, if you go through another scenario that says it's 6:30 p.m., it's April, and all the carts are in. Golf operations is closed for the evening. And let's say I'm out walking, playing golf, and I see a biker out there. Now, I will say, every biker I've ever seen has always been respectful and stopped. But let's say they don't, and I have to wait a minute or two. Who do I call? Do I call food and beverage and tell them, do I have to take a picture as a member and report my neighbor? It just became very awkward to enforce that situation. So that's why we said, let's start and enforce a rule that's easy to enforce, get some success, because if we don't enforce the rule, it's meaningless. And it just frustrates the people who care about this rule. And we'll be back here in January or February next year talking about the same frustration. So our whole mantra was, let's clarify what the rule is, let's enforce it, let's get some success behind us, and let's adjust if we need to.
Further discussion.
Another question, maybe related to it. We really haven't addressed the penalty for the constant offenders. What do we have in the bylaws for that, Patrick? I mean, you and I have talked about a constant, the morning people, and they constantly do it. What is the penalty and how can we?
Well, what typically would happen, and it outlays in the rules for your directory, and in the bylaws, there's some obviously some stipulations in there that tell you what to do. So if you have a rules breaker, or somebody who broke the rules, the first course of action would be to letter that individual and tell them that there's been breaking of rule X, and X, and report that. Second time around, it's actually quite frankly, let me back up a little bit. The first time I hear something from somebody, I give them a phone call, typically from my office, and said, listen, report you've been speeding, slow down. To persist on again, out comes the letter, and then reaction to, they have, in the bylaws, it's, once they receive the letter, the board wants to take action. There's a committee that's formed from the board grievance committee, what it's called. They'll sit down and notify the individual that they broke the rule. Then you come to the grievance committee for action. They have 14 days to respond to the grievance. And if they don't, then their privileges can be suspended. That's simplified, but that's pretty much how it goes. Georgie, did I miss anything in that?
Oh, you could be fined. Somebody could be fined.
Yes.
That's up to $15,000. Is that correct?
Yeah. $100, I think, a day. But we have a maximum of $15,000. I don't think it'll get that far.
So essentially, there is an enforcement process that we've probably never gotten that far. But if we are intent upon applying a rule and having enforcement, then already have the remedy if necessary.
I think it's a question of people being willing to report to management when there is a problem. I think that's really the crux of the problem. It's a matter of reporting the incidents to management and then management taking that next step. And I think that's been the missing link. Further discussion?
One point, relative to the walkers and safety issue, doesn't seem like there's much risk of having a person walking, playing golf, and somebody walking on a cart path. I can't visualize that being a dangerous situation. And then when you think of the slight inconvenience you may have when some golfers says they have to wait until the walker goes paper or whatever, I don't think that's a very big issue. It doesn't sound like it would be if we're playing competitive golf and you have the timings and you're involved with league play or something of that nature.
I think we're really
maybe a solution might be to let this go and see what the impact is of future walkers that are playing golf and see if they start complaining because their game is interfered with or they have somehow caused a dangerous situation to occur. And then that's your feedback, Mike. That's the feedback.
I think the other problem, the problem is daylight savings time. That seems to be, we don't have the problem so much in January, February, because golfers are out there right up until about 5 o'clock when it's actually dark. It's when we have daylight savings time in the spring and in the early fall is when we get the walkers, the bicycle. I haven't seen too many joggers, but the latter two, this seems to be the problem, and I think that's what really needs to be concentrated on with this policy.
If I may add, one of the things I think that has exacerbated this issue is this coronavirus thing, where people are just in their house, they want to get out and do stuff. I don't remember a year, I've been here 7 years full time, where I've ever seen this many people on a golf course any time of the day. Because it's just I think people just want to get out and get some exercise.
People have been up.
Streets, roads.
Right. So I think that this is an issue that has risen its head at the wrong time for us talking about this. But I would echo Dick's comment that let's see if this works. Let's try it. There's nothing wrong with trying something, and then if it doesn't work, and if offers that are out there are very concerned and we get a lot of feedback, we can always come back and change things. If you don't change, if you're not open to change, then why think about it?
Well, why wouldn't you have them registered?
Well, I think that's fine, but the walkers or the people that are on bicycles, they don't know who's registered and who isn't after 5 o'clock. They have no idea. So if they did, I mean, if they had to have a little sign on their thing, or they had to have a sand thing, but I just think we should try it like this and see what happens. That's all.
Brother,
Hey, excuse me a second. This is Gary Eve here. I know we have a 10:30 construction meeting. Shall we postpone that or delay that to another time, Patrick, number one? Number two, have you guys thought about a one-way direction on the cart path? In other words, the problem there, I'm just listening in, the problem there is that you got golfers going in one direction, you got bicyclists going in another. They face each other from time to time. That could be dangerous. Why don't everybody just go in the same direction? Much more safe.
Okay, Gary, first thing, we sent you about 45 minutes ago an email to move the meeting to 11 o'clock. We're bumping.
Okay, I'll see you guys at 11. I'm gone. Thanks.
Thanks for your time.
That's a good idea to look at, but it doesn't affect our voting on this this consideration. But that's a good thought for some future regulation, safety consideration. Thank you, Gary.
Okay. Any further discussion? We're ready to take a vote. Mr. Glaze?
Motion.
Make a motion. John made a motion, I thought.
No.
Well, now, though.
Sorry.
I move that we accept this proposal. I have to read it, John.
As written?
As written.
As written, without exception to any of the wording.
Is there a second?
Georgie, second.
Georgie, you second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No other discussion?
I just wanted, now that you said no exception to any of the wording, I just noticed that it says under the member package, for your safety and the safety of others, it doesn't say golf course cart paths right there.
It does not say that?
It does not say that in that section. I think we missed it. So, I mean, that's the little things that gets out in the paper.
Bicyclists may only use the golf course paths in the evenings.
But it doesn't say the cart paths like we said in the other places.
Oh, cart paths, I see.
Yeah, that's
We'll make that as an editorial change, John.
Okay, thank you. In the little thing, the third paragraph.
Where it says member packages?
Yes. Only use the golf course paths, but we specified before golf course cart paths. So just to be consistent, we missed that.
Insert the word
cart. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it by a show of hands. All those in favor? All those opposed? 8-1. Next item.
Pickleball.
All right, Georgie, you're up.
Okay, so we established at the last meeting that we were going to have a pickleball subcommittee. The last meeting, and so I put together some information about the purpose, a little bit of the background, and the considerations. It's in there. It's towards the back. So the purpose is to look at possible sites to expand pickleball courts. How will these new courts impact the new location or potential location? And also to determine how these needs can best serve the community, focusing on the concerns of the neighborhood. For those of you who weren't, who didn't know, part of the reason that this all got brought to a head was that a group of people were starting a petition about not having the pickleball courts at the Stony Brook Arbor Lake location. And so they wanted to stop this from happening. So at that point in time, we brought it up at a board meeting that look into it. So things that we will take into consideration is look at the history of pickleball in Naples Heritage. What is the current usage? What do we anticipate the growth to be? Do we need additional courts? Where should they be located? What are the concerns of the neighbors affected by it? Can we adequately address these concerns? And how do we balance the concerns of the affected neighborhoods with the pickleball need? Finally, what are the estimated costs and what is our time frame? We figure we'll need about 4 or 5 meetings to do this. I am trying to get committee members selected to be part of this committee. But right now, in flux, I wanted to give this to them before I finalized everybody on the committee. So any comments from the board? Did I miss anything? Should we consider anything else?
One question I see in Patrick's goals is to redo the Prestwick tennis court. I would assume that that'd be put on hold till her committee.
I'm not sure what you reviewed my goals for objectives for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
The Prestwick court would be repairing. It's in need of repair currently. There's some roots coming through the surfaces and such things that.
So no matter what goes there, has to be fixed.
Right, so that has to be fixed.
Unless we decide that that's a good place for the new pickleball.
Well, you have to do it anyway. You have to repair them anyway. You wouldn't change the surface.
Wouldn't change
the surface. It would have to be repaired anyway.
It's not a huge expense to.
No, I think that it's when they tear it up, I'll know more. But around $5,000, fix it.
I'm just where I'm coming from on that is, no, that's not a good place to put pickleball because we just put money into redoing the court.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right.
That's where that shouldn't be an issue. That shouldn't be an issue.
It's to be repaired though. Where the damage is done.
No matter what.
No matter what. One way or another.
I got you. Thank you.
Okay.
Georgie, what does the petition say? Are they saying they don't want to expand the pickleball there?
I'm sorry.
Or they don't want to?
Well, they don't feel that that's a good location for it. I don't have the petition in front of me right now. I apologize, but it's a safety issue. If you look at that area right there, you've got golf carts coming in. You've got right now the bocce ball. You have pickleball going up. You have a swimming pool that is serving 270 units. That one pool, that's what that pool encompasses. When you think of the 7 condo buildings, terraces, and then the Arbor Lakes verandas. So the neighborhoods, they talk about the noise, they talk about the traffic. There's a lot of points that they have. I'm sorry I didn't bring that. I thought I had it, but I guess I left it at
There was a petition that was started by many of the neighbors in that particular area. How the rumor got out, I'm not quite sure, but it kind of got blown out of proportion. And that was the reason why we put kind of a hold and said, let's study the whole issue about pickleball.
So does anybody have any other further considerations that should be part of this? I mean, we can constantly change it, but as long as I'm in the right direction.
I think you get well outlined.
Okay. All right. We plan to meet in the fall. There's no sense to meet.
We have a report ready by, can we give you a deadline?
Sure.
Of maybe the October meeting? Is that too early? Okay, how about the November meeting?
She has to have 5 meetings.
I was thinking this is going to take some discussion.
Okay.
So I think the soonest would probably be January, really, realistically.
Okay. So it won't have any.
No. Budget would be for the following summer.
Be for the following year, the budget.
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah.
That's what I was.
Oh, okay. So it would concern the budget for 2022. Okay.
Okay. Thanks very much, Judge, for taking that over. Habitat for Humanity. Patrick?
So most of you know that we participate with the Habitat for Humanity group. That group is a local agency that builds homes for people who are disadvantaged, who need help, and they earn a home for that home. We've had one of our employees participate in that program, by the way. I've been involved with it for 23 years, and this club is about 15 years. What it is, it's a tax program. In essence, we write a check, and this year it could be anywhere from 60 to 80,000 to the government, which the check stays in the safe. Government sends Habitat for Humanity the money, and then we rip up the check. That's how it works. Nothing comes out of our pocket because it's a tax credit program. We do have to, as members of the club, recognize Owen Sonetz as one of the leaders of the pack. And Ken Gainer's now a new painter over there. I'm not sure if any of you guys are involved with that at this table. Dash now is involved. So we have volunteer hours, and I think it's 2,000 hours, correct me if I'm wrong, that our members participate in helping build those homes. This year, because of the coronavirus, that's been waived. Because obviously you can't get out there and do the things we typically do. But many of our members participate. It's a wonderful program. It doesn't cost us money. We want to bring it through you all so you can understand what we're doing. So that's Habitat for Humanity. So we ask your permission to continue on this year with the program. The range is 60 to 80,000. She's going to let us know. We might even be able to build 2 houses. Great program.
Chair will entertain a motion for continued participation.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next board meeting is May 19th at 8:30.
Mike, I want to add one more thing to new business, if I could, please. I just want to make a recommendation that we, not to beat a dead horse with golfers and non-golfers, if we could review this maybe in 6 months or 7 months to see how it's working.
I'd second that.
The plan is to try it as a pilot during the summer when almost no one is here and there wouldn't be much trouble.
Why don't we say that we
then just work it up until about November and see how it goes, December.
Yeah. Okay. Next meeting again is May 19th. We are going to have an executive session after this meeting, but is there any comments or?
Yeah, I just have one more comment. We have a number of new members to the board this year and last year, maybe the year before. And a couple years after I joined, we had an excellent workshop, but also we had a tour of our entire facilities, through the kitchen, how everything functions, the maintenance shop, and all of that. And I think we should do that again so that new members of the board are aware of how this factory works and how this operation.
I think he was going to try to do that after we got the new buildings. Up, so it'd be something we would do in the fall.
Something we should do in the fall.
Probably in October. Probably do it before we do the budget, so we would have a good understanding of some of the needs going forward, especially the irrigations.
In the maintenance building.
In the maintenance building.
The good times of having this meeting start at 9 o'clock or over.
This is the last time.
This is the last time we get started.
Today of all days, we should have started 8:30 because we do have an 11 o'clock meeting right after. And you guys have, some of you will be in the next meeting, so let's go your executive.
Any comments from the audience?
Move we adjourn.
Okay, it's been moved. We adjourn. Thank you very much. The board members will play for an executive session.
I'm going to send you out. We're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Be nice, you guys.
You should.
Garrett, I'll get you on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just going to give.